Hello everyone, Fiat here, and it's been a while since I've done a video in my Minecraft world, but I definitely haven't given up playing the game because it's still really fantastic, but I digress. In the last video, I believe I talked about, or I just introduced the Olivians, but since then, a lot is done. I would say I've probably played a good 300 or 400 hours since the last video, so as you could probably tell, a lot more of the world has been discovered, and we've discovered a bunch of different biomes, as well as discovering new civilizations. So we've got our snowy people here, the Schnuvika, then the Nasai over here, and I've still got my other civilizations, and currently trying to take over I think this is called a mesa biome, but there is lots of enemy forces, and the capital city here is taking quite a while to conquer. But once I manage to get control of this region, oh man, that's going to be a lot of clay at my disposal. I was actually surprised that I found this mesa biome with all these different types of clay before I found a jungle and a snowy biome, but it is what it is. But yeah, there's lots and lots of underground caverns. They're just full of various points, so every area on the map where I've seen a large number of enemy units, I've designated it as its own point, and then once I've successfully cleared out the enemies, I've labeled it as secure. But there are some points that it's going to take quite a bit of strategy and thinking to be able to conquer, because this place is like full of caves. And if you've never been to a mesa before, it's essentially like a mine shaft, but not that deep in the ground. It's a great spot for lots of railroad tracks though, but kind of a big or monumental effort to try to conquer. But in time it'll be conquered. But as we go back over here, I've been putting a lot of work into the Minoso, but I guess before that, just looking at the map of the Olivians, they've advanced a little bit. Their city's been getting to grow. They've got parks, tree farms, fully functioning school, and I've been working on the Manaso village of Patai nearby, but it's still at the very beginning phases. And then of course the Sinai are doing fairly well as well, even though the Elishai warship is still moored in the harbor there, and the Elishai have constructed a tower to oversee their conquests. Things have been doing well. As you can see, their capital city, new capital city of Jijai, is starting to develop, and they've got their working road systems over to other villages. And of course their destroyed city of Geshpa, which will remain permanently in ruins, and they're working on the trade port. And eventually the goal is to clear out this waterway so that I could get all the way from their capital city basically down to the capital of the Olivians, Ken al-Jahar. So we've got a lot more water to clear out, but once we can get a water route to there, yeah, it'll be pretty easy to get stuff back and forth. We've already currently got one from the Sinai trade port all the way up and through here, down through here, and to their capital city. So I'm trying to think of it like the Egyptians thought of the Nile, as a river is not a hindrance but an asset, or a great highway system. And then I've also been exploring more of the map. And of course I've established the Elishai have expanded as well. They got their own tropical island here where they've been importing jungle trees and growing cocoa or stuff like that that was imported from the jungle, which took me forever to find, but I finally found one. Grr, don't know why it took so long. And the Elishai have also expanded into this village here and have begun constructing a commercial port. But for this video, like I say, we're going to focus on what I've done with the Minoso. So we go up here to the village of Karla, and due to the fact that we were working on building the international highway system, which you can kind of see up here. It's starting up here. We've got some of it paved, but we still got a lot of land to clear, which is going to be ridiculous. And then it started to begin construction too on the LSI side. From the city of Delakai, they've started the basic route to go south, but then the main thing is working on the highway to be able to get it to go north. And it being as it's LSI and they worship water, the middle of it is going to allow large enough for boats to travel for incredibly fast travel via boat or by horse. And then all of this is hugely suspended in the air over quite a huge distance. So it's taken up a lot of wood and it's taken up a lot of stone. And because of that, the Minoso weren't able to get much for imports for roads, so they had to establish their own way of getting stone. And so to solve that problem, we had them had to construct their own mine. And I would travel by the rail cart, but since I don't have any of the accelerators, it's actually quicker to run. But I still take the train with me because it has the cargo slot, so I can just load it up with stone and then bring huge amounts of stone back. But yeah, they've basically got their own quarry now. I've already dug down like 10 levels so far. Yeah. Yeah, originally the stone was up to there, so I guess that's about 10 levels, or maybe not that much, but still. So this takes care of the Minoso's need for stone. And as we head back in, this right here is essentially their major train station. Ideally it's going to be connecting, well, you have that connection to the mine there, the stone would come in here, and then what's needed in the town is taken out, and then any more that would need to go somewhere else is going to be distributed via the rail network that we're currently constructing, that's going to eventually lead back to the Santrum mine, and then from there the resources can be distributed via the rail system to the Minoso capital of Santrum. But before we check that all out, I've decided to experiment with a slightly different building technique, whereas the second level builds out one block wider than the first one. So here we have a basic apartment. Again, in keeping with tradition, it's got to have working toilets connected to a sewer system. Though being Minoso, it's a very localized sewer system. That's eventually going to be a shells for library, but we have here our very small apartments. Yeah. Gotta love that cramped living and city life, but complete with a sink, stove, oven, place to eat, and then of course bathroom downstairs. I suppose in hindsight I should have had a shower, but built there, but yeah, well, is what it is. And I like this little house here. It's very small and cramped, but it has all the basics that you need. Again, it's missing a shower. I can't believe I forgot that. Oh well. Then of course this is our currently under construction rail system. But before I show that, I tried to actually make this look kind of like a train station, so you've got your waiting areas, then just a simple furnace, a storage area, and then where you go to get your tickets and that kind of thing. At some point I need to put computers in there. The main thing though that's prohibiting the construction of this is the lack of iron and gold to make these accelerators. But once it's complete, I should have a very, very quick way to travel back and forth between these cities. But that's about as far as I've been able to construct there. But then of course, we still have the good old-fashioned road. which goes at a fairly decent rate, I believe, especially if I if I go this way on horseback. It's really fast. That's one of the main things that I've been focusing on a lot, as opposed to any huge buildings, is just infrastructure and transportation, being able to get from one spot to another. Because in order to be able to build these large projects, we need to be able to move huge amounts of resources at any given time, and it's very hard to do that if you don't have the proper infrastructure. Whereas with proper roads and things like that, I can have donkeys or mules carrying cargo back and forth, or rail systems that can carry large amounts of cargo at any one time to get the resources from point A to point B and where I'm going to build stuff as quickly as possible. And a lot of this infrastructure is demanded because of the 3 great projects that I'm working on. Again, that's the great church of the city of Santrum, the massive sewer system of the city of Delakai. Yeah, the church in the city of Santrum, the sewer system of Delakai, and of course the international highway system. But in order to be able to accomplish these goals, as you can see, we've really had to work on our infrastructure. And one thing that's very important for the great library in the church is we're going to need lots and lots and lots of leather. But that's of course going to subsequently require lots and lots of cows, which is why we went through the trouble of constructing this moderate-sized grain farm. I didn't have enough seeds to fully get the area at first because, well, this takes a lot of seeds. I thought I'd collected a bunch of them, but it took a lot of seeds to be able to plant all this. And once it's complete, at some point I'm going to get around to harvesting it, but I'm a little hesitant to harvest because just planting this alone took about 3 or 4 Minecraft days, and that's not counting all the time it took to level out this terrain. But yeah, this should be able to give us enough wheat to sufficiently supply our cattle farms so that we can have a huge amount of leather when the harvest time, of course, rolls around. And of course our mine here is still just as productive as ever. The underground system has just gotten kind of ridiculous, but I guess there's no point in showing that. You've all seen caves and stuff before. But yeah, I imagine that the underground system below here extends for many, many miles, and I still have yet to fully explore it all. There's still areas that need to be discovered. I found pretty much everything down there, though. Diamonds, gold, and all that other stuff. And here we have another construction project that's eventually going to be a birch tree farm that is going to be used exclusively for fuel for that furnace over there. But I keep jumping back and forth between construction projects, so it'll get done eventually. But then here's the massive field of cattle that we needed that grain farm, as well as all these sheep that grain farm will also support. So the Minoso farms are still being very productive. Now when it comes to the city of Santrum, a lot of work has been put into this city. I don't remember how much was there when last I visited in the previous video, but it should definitely look different from that. But things are going very, very well for the city. I mean, I'm still really loving the way the storage yard turned out. It ended up looking really, really good, and it can store massive amounts of stuff with the proper railway system, complete with the accelerators all the way to the mine, which is great. But it's not just enough to store raw materials and things like that. A city like this needs to have a granary, and with the massive size of that farm I had planted, I felt that I needed an equally large granary. So here we take the wheat that we produce, put it in hay bales, and then store it physically here as opposed to storing a bunch in chest. And I have a feeling that this whole place will be filled with just one harvest from that wheat farm over there. I estimate that's going to take maybe a couple weeks, or a good Minecraft week to harvest, and a couple hours in real life. But as we move on, the church itself has been demanding a huge amount of resources, but that's to be expected. However, it is coming along so beautifully. There's just like an unparalleled joy of being able to look at this and say that I built it entirely in survival. You know, no creative mode flying, no creative mode generating of resources, or unlimited resources I should say. Just hours and hours and hours of work over a very long time. But there's, like I say, a certain wonderful peace about it as I just look up at the sheer awe of this great place. You know, from the lovely pulpit to the marble baptismal chambers to the glorious cross, or the glorious cross and the stained glass windows and the cloth hanging down below. It's awesome. Then as we go in here to the other areas, this is also going to have some books. So we have the welcoming area. Obviously you got to have a large amount of bathrooms. Wait, these do not have covers on the toilet. I don't have to fix that. But they do have links to the sewer system, so there's that. Then of course you have the tables for the fellowship hall. Then of course the kitchen, which needs a little bit more work to finishize, but I do kind of like my entrance to the kitchen. You know, again, gotta have your cross. Cross doorway I think looks nice, and okay, that's gonna bug me. Didn't have enough wood to finish that. Okay. So this area down here is almost complete. And of course we got our priest over there. Then as we go up here on the second level, we have the areas for people to sleep should they need it. Having talked to a pastor in real life, trying to get suggestions as to what I should put in the church, he suggested something like that. And then of course here we have our entrance as to what is going to be the grand library. So all of this is going to be filled with books, and then this will not only have bookshelves, but then an archive of all the important books in this world. Then this is going to be the upstairs area, so all of this is eventually going to be bookshelves as well, complete with a glass floor. Then you have this area in here, which will probably also be a huge library. And again, must have ran out of wood. With this, of course, being a giant cross constructed of golden blocks, once I get enough gold that is, with a base of lapis lazuli, it'll be surrounded eventually by glass. Then of course you have an even higher level of the church. But again, all of this is depending on getting the proper resources, which is taking a very long time. But regardless, I think you could easily see why I'm putting such an emphasis on infrastructure. Because in order to be able to support stuff like this, you kind of need a very large infrastructure. But then there's other buildings over here that we're working on. This is eventually going to be our cloth factory, so we're going to get a bunch of sheep in here and have them be grown inside here with different colors like the red and all that, so that this city will be able to have its own export of colored cloth. Then here, of course, is our beginnings of a subway station, though I have to wonder how much effort I'm going to put into this, being as, well, I'm going to have to go underneath water, and I'm already building a railway system above ground, but then again that is just for the hauling of resources. This will probably just be a way to quickly travel from one area to the other without hauling much resources. But either way, I just figured it wouldn't hurt to have the infrastructure there to start if I do end up doing something like that. But in addition to that, we're working on, as we do in many cities, essentially leveling out the terrain and flattening it out, removing all these annoying tall pieces of grass, which I can't stand, and then just having a clear, flat area to eventually build upon later. Oh, there's a chicken up here. Huh. But yeah, this is our little lookout tower where you can see the amount of roads that we've got and the effort. I guess that's pretty good. I can't even see the entire city from this point. I suppose I could increase the view distance, but nah. I don't need to view that far. I tend to prioritize performance over view distance. Because one day I logged on to find that the view distance had somehow been turned up to 64. Oh man, did Minecraft slow this computer down to a halt when I did that. Yeah. Oh well. Now I'm on my way to something I don't think I had in the previous videos, and if I did, oh well. But there's a lot of dark oak wood over here, and which I thought made for really nice furniture and other things like that, but it's one of the main things that the LSI like to use as fuel. So obviously we will need a place to efficiently farm it. And again, like many things, it's still under construction, but I've got the basics where I just leveled out and flattened the terrain so that I can build whatever I want later on, and eventually it's going to be filled with a large amount of plots like this that are just going to grow the wonderful dark oak trees that again make for a very beautiful material, especially in this texture pack, as well as a nice renewable source of fuel. The only problem is they don't drop enough seeds really to ensure a steady reproduction. And why do I have cows in the bedroom? You know what? I'm not even gonna bother with that. Okay, the fact that this place has walls and doors indicates that at some point I let them in there. Oh well. Again, not going to question it. Just let the cows be. Alright, now as I make my way back to LSI territory, you know, some people may be quick to point out that maybe I shouldn't be doing so many construction projects at once. I should just focus on one. But I don't really like the idea of doing that, because in that way, if you're doing one thing all the time, A, it gets really boring, and B, the idea when I'm playing is to create the idea that I've got multiple civilizations, multiple cities, all building stuff simultaneously, and if you just go back and forth between each city or civilization and start different projects, you know, they kind of advance all together, whereas if you just keep focusing on one single project, it kind of shatters that illusion. Not only that, or some people could say, well, You could just build one project in one city, then complete it, then go on to the next. But the thing is, in real life, there's multiple construction projects going on at one time, and just sitting back and looking at various construction projects, well, that in itself is pretty cool. Alright. But as we head back into the wonderful lands of the Elishai, and as you may remember, they are water worshippers, so their name of their game is to flood the lands with water that they're not going to be building on. Because they build their cities on the lakes, rivers, and oceans, ideally, and then surround the rest of the land with lots and lots of water. Because, hey, Elishai. Ah, how I've missed this city. Ah, this glorious, glorious city. Me in peace. Oh wow, the population is really But with regards to the sewer system, I think it's coming along fairly well. You know, we've got this open area here that's just ready to be built atop upon when I make a final decision as to what exactly I'm going to be building. But then once we do that, we'll be able to start putting water into it, linking it to the toilets of the city, and we will have a very, very sanitary city, which is great. Then up here we have our link to the Great Highway System, which is eventually going to link up with the highway that is being built in the Olivian territory, which, as I demonstrated earlier, is going to allow for some very, very quick travel between the different civilizations and the like. But of course, no highway is complete without a hotel, and no hotel is complete without a full-service restaurant in the basement. So, you gotta have all the necessities of life, you know? And of course, you gotta make sure that it's nicely decorated with lush green leaves from the spruce trees. Then of course, you know, if you're gonna have a hotel, it needs to have a lovely bath, complete with nice bathrooms. And it seems that I haven't finished the hotel. Where's a room with a bed? Ah. Oh wow, this looks so empty. I think I need to... Looks like I have not finished the hotel. Boo. Ah. Use a couple decorations. Oh yeah. But the basics are there. Complete with our own tablecloths. But yeah, this highway system is... taking a ridiculous amount of resources, and that may very well, using the term ridiculous may be an understatement, but it definitely does its job of being able to allow you to travel great distances at a decent speed. I'm not sure exactly how many miles it's going to be when it's completed, but I'm aiming for many, many miles. Sometimes I like to, or I just have to wonder how many hours I've spent on each individual project. Because again, all of this was done purely in survival mode, because I just really don't like the idea of playing creative mode. It just seems like cheating. I mean, it has its uses for like bug fixes and stuff like that, but overall, just in general, the idea of playing in creative mode, just, yeah. Because I'm sure creative mode would make building all this much, much simpler, considering that, well, you can see how tall it is. I mean, and so everything that I just came across was going over the lands with those really high pillars, and I guess technically, since buildings don't fall in Minecraft like they do if you don't have enough support, like they would in, say, one of the Engineers games or 7 Days to Die, I want to maintain some elements of believability at the very least. But yeah, a lot of work has been going into this highway, and a lot more work has yet to go, as it needs to extend for several more miles. Sometimes I kind of wish I had some friends that shared my vision of massive structures like this, but either none of my friends want to play, and then there's other people online, I'm sure, but I'm not a very trusting person. And this world in the hands of the wrong person, I could just see ending up in disaster. It's a shame that the Minecraft community is so toxic, because my mind wonders regularly, what could I accomplish if I was able to team up with a lot of these builders and stuff like that? But alas, we'll never know. So this is just all one man's project. But on the plus side, when I tell people that I've played Minecraft for well over 1,000 hours now, I don't think there will be any doubt as to that, the validity of that statement. Huh. But here we are, we've gone up a little bit near the Olivian territory, and this is what their end of the Great Highway is going to look like. It's using a completely different wood, but I figure if I'm going through a birch forest, I might as well use birch wood, because, yep, gotta use what you got. Then as we approach the border of the Olivian territory, their first great king has died peacefully, and so they're building a small pyramid in his honor. And eventually it'll be closed up on the top, but before we do that, we had to make sure that everything for his burial was properly secured. And then the items here, you got his bones, and then you have the sword that he used, and the ender pearl that the king used from killing, or that he got from killing his first enderman, and that sword is the sword that he used to do that, which serves as a symbolic symbol of the fact that you don't need vastly or superior weapons. You just need to have proper skill and cunning, because some people may doubt that you can easily kill an enderman with a stone sword, but I've done it multiple times, and so that's just one of the things there to honor him. And of course, we've got an obelisk under construction as well. But getting the rare granite or whatever material it is for that is taking a bit of time. But as we head over here on this road, we go towards that other Minoso village that's also under construction, because in my world pretty much everything is under construction. But I also don't see it as a problem constantly building a bunch of different stuff at any one time, because, as I think should be obvious, there is no shortage of things that I have indeed completed. So, in time. And the main thing, of course, is I'm having fun doing it all. So, that's really the only thing that matters. But as we approach the city, Pattaya, you have yet another example of a lot of stuff that is still under construction. But now this city, like all the others, is going to be constructed on different planes as we fill in the areas and flatten out the terrain for future building. Everything should be fine. Then on this one though, we're planning ahead, so this is going to have labeled city streets. So I don't think I've really done that before in other cities, but I'm a fan of organization. So here we have Main Street, here we have West Wall Street, and then the Minoso, or not the Minoso, the Tamarins, aka the cows, they're going to have homes in the city as well. So here we have one nice family. They're growing food locally. They got their baths. They got their cooking stuff. Tonight on the menu they're having steak. And you'll notice that I've actually started giving them names as well as house numbers, because I'm not taking this game too seriously at all. But yeah. This is my, I guess, jump into even more organized streets, because again, giving each house a name and house number, yeah. But you gotta have that organization. Eventually all my cities will probably be like that. But once again, just like in typical fashion, with the Minoso, we are taking what was originally NPC villages and basically turning them into cities, but expanding them in a way that I think fits in with their construction style. So we haven't really expanded much in this city, but it's mostly been trying to level the terrain, which in and of itself is a huge feat. But it looks like it's getting dark, so time to stay the night here. Alright, so new day. But as we go back on over and return to the Olivian territory, not sure exactly how much has changed since my video introducing the Olivians, since that video was quite a while ago. Yeah. But they're continuing to excavate and rebuild this area. Their pyramid's looking nice. But one of the main things that's currently underway for these people is basically the terraforming of the land. Essentially, I want to take all the sand tiles and replace them with dirt tiles so that we can eventually get grass where there was once desert. And when you consider that we've essentially expanded the river and created our own lake, I don't have any hesitation, or doubts rather, that I can efficiently terraform the entire area. Because, this area right here is basically an artificially created lake. Originally there was just a small river going through here, but I raised the levels of it by about 3 or 4 tiles so that I could create a dock and catch fish and rapidly transport around in an area that was once nothing but desert sands. And it's stuff like that, though, that's also taking up a lot of time, because gathering resources and stuff like that for construction is in and of itself very time consuming, but terraforming and all that other good stuff is also very time consuming, because this was once all desert sands, but we've gone through, dug up the sand, and then placed a dirt block down, and with the hope that it'll eventually return to or become all grass. Which unfortunately means I'm pretty much running out of dirt. All the extra dirt that I've dug up through the years, technically Minecraft years, because how many days have I been playing now? Let's see, where does it say what Minecraft day it is? Okay, near the middle. We are on Minecraft day 3098. Okay, there's no way it's been that many Minecraft days. Oh, wow. Divide that by 365. So this game has basically existed for over 8 Minecraft years. Okay, what am I doing with my life? Okay, wow, okay, those numbers cannot be right. 8 years, or 8 Minecraft years has already passed. I swear I did not feel that it had been that long. Maybe it's a good thing that it doesn't actually keep track of the hours you've spent playing, because that could be bad. Really bad. But, you know, since the LSI nearby had a Tamarin village, you know, the village of the cows, I also felt that maybe the sheep should have their own village as well. So that's what this is. Yeah. But it's basically just something out of birch, so it looks kind of ugly, but it's where our lovely green sheep live. I wonder, this waypoint, is there a boat there? So I can take a trip up to the Sinai, because I don't think I've shown off the Sinai yet. Which, as you may recall, they were the people that were responsible for turning, yes, there's several boats here in fact. Yeah, let's take this one. They were the people that were the original invaders of the Olivian territory, and as legend has it, the sun goddess Olivia, in order to smite them and get them out of the land, struck it, scorching the land, turning it into desert. Then, of course, the Elishai showed up, being as the water goddess was the sister of Olivia. Yeah, I think that's the way the lore works. They drove out the Sinai, and not only drove them out, but counterattacked, destroying the Sinai capital as well as some other Sinai cities, and then setting up an occupation force. Yeah. This land has a rich history. But the Sinai have been doing fairly well in occupation. They've been able to rebuild. They're not allowed to use stone tools or anything, but that's basically, or at least not originally, because they are earth worshippers and they believe that destruction of the land and stuff like that is a violation of their god or goddess, I don't remember, like Mother Earth, whatever it may be. However, with the Elishai occupation, they've introduced the ability to create stone from just mixing water and lava together to create an unlimited source. And the Sinai are getting stone tools and stuff from that because they don't necessarily believe that that's harmful, as it doesn't harm the environment in any way. But they're basically the hippies. Well, I guess I can't call them the hippies because they started a war. Environmental extremist, I guess, would be one way to put it. They just really like the earth, and well, I don't know. Still almost half a kilometer away from the trade port. Wait, this isn't the way. Nope. I haven't yet to navigate around there yet. Am I even going the right way? Oh, nope, 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 nope. You get lost in these rivers. But if you haven't already noticed, one reason that I like the idea of creating these other religions and stuff like that and different beliefs is it serves as a great excuse to experiment with different styles of architecture, because usually in games like this I find an architectural style that I like, and then I usually tend to stick with it. Whereas here, I want to try to be as creative as possible. Oh, really? I mean, I haven't finished digging this out. Ah, boo. Yeah, I got a lot of work to do. Please tell me I got a ship on the other side. Okay, great, I do. Yeah, I've been through here a couple times before. Ah. But yeah, I like using that as an excuse to create different styles of architecture, and so I really liked with the LSI, they're having water everywhere. That I think is kind of unique. Then with these people not wanting to really destroy the environment, yeah. Of course, they kind of had to here to be able to traverse. But the theory is it's better to dig a couple channels than to destroy a lot to build roads. Though when they do build roads, they basically use the shovel technique, where they just convert the grass into a grassy path, which allows them to have their roads that don't harm the environment. And here we have their Arcadian wood trade port. Yeah, but perfect spot to stay the night, then we can continue on. But if we go up north real quick, at least I think it's north, you can see the remains of the once mighty city. Eventually this is going to become like a natural history museum or something in time though, but they're still working on the rebuilding efforts, but they do intend to preserve the remains of this to serve as a lesson for future generations. Yeah, the city's been pretty much stripped out. The main tactic that the LSI used, surprisingly, despite being a water civilization, was burning everything down with fire. So anything that had wood was burned, leaving only the stone remains of once great buildings. Then, of course, the LSI ransacked the place, stole as much as they could, but they left the well in the middle, filling with water, as a symbolic move, rather, more than anything else. Yeah. It was quite a sight to see, though, on the night that or the couple nights, rather, that the siege was underway. Fire everywhere, buildings burning, villagers dying, lots of villagers dying, and then the archers and all that other stuff also dying. But a sad reminder of our violent past. And this was the temporary blockade that the LSI had set up to kind of advance into the city. And then the simple tower that they had built to forge weapons, basically. But all of those are memories of the past. It's present day, so time to move on with the glorious history. Or the glorious present. And back to the trade port. Alright, after almost a half-day journey by river, we are approaching the new Sinai capital. Just a couple more turns, but sometimes I wonder if it'd be quicker to travel on road or by boat, but boat's easier. You don't have to worry with jumping, you just gotta keep turning back and forth. Maybe I need to make some of these passes a little bit wider. But we're fairly close now, within 200 meters of the city. I'm so glad they made boats tougher in the 1.9 update, because before they were just way, way too weak. It was ridiculous. But there's the bridge, so we're getting closer now. And looks like just around the corners, or a couple corners. Of course, the challenge with building their city is to build with as little change to the terrain as possible. But here we are. The Elishai Tower is still under construction, but got the Elishai warship right there. And let's see, let's pull into any of the available docks. Alright, looks like this is good. And here we are. And here we have a Minoso trade ship. I kind of wish that mod that allowed you to actually turn blocks into ships that you could then move around would actually work, but that's what messed up my previous world, and that one only had like 300 or 400 hours in it. This one probably has about 1,000, so I don't want to risk messing it up. I'm basically keeping this game as vanilla as possible, apart from the map mod, because, well, I just gotta have all this stuff. But the nice thing about it is I can just build in a replica of this at a Minoso port and then use it as quick travel points, because you can teleport to different waypoints with this map mod. But here we have the Sinai. And as you can tell, they really like their Akkadian wood, and as you can see, they try to build with the land as opposed to terraforming and flattening it, which creates for unique farms, because like this right here, they're farming on a hill. So we have their sugarcane farm, and they really like their carrots. So you got your carrot farms on the hill. Then a lot of their structures are kind of open, as you can see here, so they don't bother closing them in all the way. You know, basically to be one with nature. So this is their construction area with open areas. Doesn't provide much protection when it's raining, but oh well. But even they have semi-functional sewer systems. But they're not as advanced as the Elishai or the Minoso, because, well, building proper sewer systems would ruin the environment. Well, actually, when you think about it, it would destroy the earth. I don't know. I guess in the long term, improper sewer systems would ruin the environment. And then here we have one of their facilities for storing grain and other foods. But it's nighttime, so we should probably head to the hotel and stay for the night. Because with lots of their conquerors and stuff like that, needing places to stay when they visit, they've got to start building a nice hotel. And I like their raw Akkadian dressers, complete with their mirrors. But it's nighttime. But yeah. And lots of people in the cafe of that. Oh, this is the bathroom. Yep, they got the bathrooms too. Alright. Then here we have the basic city hall and storage area. Then here's just a simple house. I guess you could call it a longhouse. But despite their desire to build close to nature, they still do have some essence of leveling. The kind of leveling stuff that I want to do in other areas or flattening it out, I've essentially done here. Though they can get away with doing it by essentially adding dirt as opposed to, or to raise the height of the city as opposed to removing dirt to lower it. So that's my justification for how they can get flat terrain. But then the hills and stuff that we do have, we surround with Akkadian wood stairs, and then just have to work from there. Still a little bit more to work to be done, but for the most part, I've got this city flattened out, ready to build upon. And we got their stone and gravel storage area. They're storing gravel raw as opposed to, well, they do carry some in here, but This I mainly just did as an aesthetic choice. Then of course we got their tree farm that they use for fuel, because the idea of cutting down new trees for fuel is just reprehensible to them. But they still need wood, so you gotta get it somehow. But there's still a lot more buildings to be built in the semi-territory, but that for the most part has it fairly down pat. But as you can see, it's definitely a unique type of architecture. Had a lot of fun playing around with these guys. Now to take a look down south. We've gone south a little bit. I used the game's quick travel feature for this. The one thing I do recommend is if you all use this voxel map mod as well and you use the quick travel to instantly teleport, I always switch it to creative mode before I teleport, because sometimes it may mess up and put you inside a building and kill you and all that. So if you do creative mode, it doesn't do that, and then I switch back to survival as soon as I realize that I'm alive. So like I say, creative mode does have some uses, but as far as building and gathering, I still like my survival. But here we have the Densai village. Now, there was a couple of villages down here, but they're in LSI territory, so I figure I might as well take them over, even though they're not on the lake, built directly on the lakes or sea. I figured we can just surround them by water and everything will be fine. So we have here the beginnings of a basic port. Okay, complete with their sewer systems. Now, because it is an LSI city, of course, as you might imagine, it absolutely must have a fully functioning proper sewer system. Which this is, so here we have the end of it. And then as the town advances, we'll just have to begin to dig in further. But everything in time. This city was one of the more recent ones that I've begun constructing, so it's still very basic. But like the other, that Minosu city, it's going to have its streets named and all that. Again, you got to have your organization. Here we have the storehouse. Nothing much to look at. Basic field. And here I'm experimenting with the idea of basically paving the roads. But here we have what we're calling Factory Street. And then here we have our wonderful, wonderful stone factory. So if we need more stone, all we got to do is just go up here. And then just basically go up and hold down the button. And get unlimited stone with basically no work. This is just an amazing system. And as you can see, I've got... I don't know, maybe I explained this before. I think I did, so... If I didn't... Did I ever put that video online? I don't know. But either way, it has an obsidian in the back so that I don't have to worry about accidentally pulling the stone out the other side. It has water on one side and then lava on the other side. They come together and form stone, and then there's a hopper beneath it that's linked to this. So, as I mine the stone, it automatically falls down into the hopper and then fills up. And then if I want, I could start burning it as I'm mining. So it's a very, very small building, but it's really, really good for getting lots of stone. So pretty much all the stone essentially came from that, which is great. But since we're converting this to a LSI city, all these original village buildings are eventually going to be destroyed as we construct things in a more LSI sense. So lots of stone. We've got our Malsi stone on the bottom. But then this right here is my glorious chicken factory. So maybe it's time to get some more chickens. There we go. Makes me some chickens. Now, if you've never seen a chicken farm before, or a chicken factory rather. Wait. Get out, we can't. The chickens get out. The basic way it works is you have whatever it is, those things that shoot stuff out when you flip a redstone switch. you have those over there, but then you have a hopper on top of it, and then on top of that hopper, you have a bunch of chickens that lay eggs. The eggs then fall down into that area below, and then when you activate the switch, the hopper or whatever it is, there's not a hopper. I have no idea what it calls it, but the dispenser, yeah, that might be it. It then launches the eggs that are then stored out there. Out here, they break, and they form new chickens. Though, one thing to keep in mind is, if you do have such a setup, for heaven's sakes, make sure you cut it off when you're done, because otherwise, you may have way too many chickens at your disposal. Now, one could argue that this is a cruel way of getting chickens, but hey, if it works, it ain't, or if it works, I'm going to keep going with it. Then, of course, here we have, you know, another factory, and then that over there. If I need stone for tools or anything like that, I've also got another little stone factory here, so I don't have to worry so much about going all the way across the street to here to get more stone, because that's a pain having to go that far. But we're working to slowly convert those. But then the main thing, another thing that we've been working on too, is the exploration of the island, particularly this area right here. So let's just quick travel and be on our way. Where's the island? Kiliki Island. Teleport. Alright, welcome to the the Elishai Resort Island. Now this one I tried to create as kind of a tropical paradise. So instead of the native oak plants, I'm basically taking them down and replacing them with the jungle trees. Thought there was a gate around here somewhere. Yeah. Now what's really nice is coming to this island while having like tropical island music playing in the background and all that. It's kind of nice and relaxing. But this is not just meant as a resort island so much, but as a producer of cookies, cocoa, and then of course naturally jungle wood, as well as vines. Because I like the aesthetic of having vines on the stone bricks that I build, and so this is where I begin to grow them. Not only that, but cocoa is great for coloring of that. So here we have our basic vine farm, so once it goes all the way down we can get some shears and harvest it. Now the thing is too, this also doubles as a cocoa farm, so if we remove all the vines after harvest, we can just put cocoa seeds up there and get ourselves lots of cocoa beans to make lots and lots of cookies, because cookies are awesome. So this is both a vine and cookie factory. Speaking of cookies, let's just take a couple with us, because cookies are awesome. Let's have a cookie. I think I've done enough work to deserve a cookie. Yeah, totally have. But this is just a basic house that, unlike a lot of my other stuff, is actually complete. So, yeah, a rare thing for me to say indeed. Where's the port? There's the one villager. Now, the interesting thing is about this villager, as opposed to just using creative mode to spawn a villager egg like I've done before, that villager actually came from this village over here. Essentially, I got the villagers to follow me or whatever, or push them into a boat and then brought the boat all the way over here. So it was quite a bit of traveling, but I'm trying to bring in immigrants and stuff like that so that it can grow its population and things like that, though the dogs usually are the main inhabitants of it. Yeah. Again, I'm not taking this too seriously at all, or going too crazy. But let's just go into the main port here. And and that's just there to prevent the villagers from leaving. Alright, so let's just go on a ship, and let's go to the real pride and glory, because yes, it's nice to have a wonderful resort island, complete with lounges and, you know, places to lay back and relax on, and palm trees everywhere. I'm leaving those there as purely decorative. The main draw of this place, though, is this area over here. Essentially, as I was sailing over, I happened to notice an open hole in the ground, or underneath the ocean. So obviously, I had to go down and explore it. And when I realized just how big of a system we have under there, I embarked on the arguably ridiculous task of trying to build a huge shaft. Again, I'd like to remind everyone that I'm not entirely crazy. I really like Minecraft. Alright, but let's just go down here now. Where is the door to down below? Ah, here we are. Yeah, I had to make this area up here look nice, but let's just dive in to the absolutely insane. Alright, well, this is still not finished. Basically, we're embarking on a major project to essentially remove all of this water. It's going to take a while, but again, that's like many things in Minecraft. Essentially, we dump lava on this, convert it into stone, and then mine the stone, and we're just going to progressively get lower and lower. We've already dropped down several tiles or whatever. Like, as you can see, I think the water is about like right on this level. Yeah, I think that's where the edge is. But yeah, eventually we're just going to keep going down and down until we have a fully lit up system here for us to be able to just fully traverse all the way down. Eventually getting down to here, this is where still got a lot more work to do. So much to do, so little time. Oh, time to get cookies. It's always time for a cookie. And let's keep going down lower and lower. And then here we are at the lowest level. And as you may have probably guessed, I've spent a little bit of time down in this mine. If you look at the mini-map, you can see just all the lit up areas that's showing up is where I've explored. So, yeah. Thing is, this is just one of many, many, many mine shafts that I've successfully explored. And I think there's still a lot more to explore here. Minecraft is taking up way too much of my time. But if you don't think this is, for some reason you're thinking that this hasn't taken up enough of my time building all this, I can about to show you something that might be even worse than this mine shaft. Alright, where's my boat? Now, which one is it? Okay, there's ocean monuments everywhere. I'm trying to find out which one it was that I've actually explored. Boo. Alright, looks like I finally found the one I want. Yeah. Gotta be quick so that I don't get shot by these stupid... Ow! Grr. Why don't I have a ladder all the way up there? Yeah, well. But here we have an ocean monument, and this probably took a couple real-life days because I essentially cleared it out. Now, if you're familiar with the ocean monuments, you would know that by default they're all full of water, and you'd have balsas that would put that mining fatigue spill on you. But I fought my way through this thing inch by inch. But I figured if I'm going to be the LSI, water worshipping people, I gotta have an ocean monument under my control where I ideally can farm these like guardians and then get the resources I need to build with this stone, because I would love to build a lot of buildings with these stone. But again, like I say, this is probably what took up a ridiculous amount of my time, because again, originally this was all filled with water and you had to fight my way through it, and there's still some areas that I haven't yet fully cleared out. Clearing this all out is a very time-consuming process because it requires either dumping lava or using sponges and then picking them back up and then having them dry. Wonder if there's any, oh shoot, it's targeting me. Where's the dumb thing? Is that one? Ah. Come on, you little booger, where'd you go? There you are. Come back here. Come back here. Oh no. Oh, that kind of hurts. That's not cool that you can't use a shield to block them. Sure. Well, I might as well not bother with that. But yeah, still got quite a lot of work to do. But, I mean, just getting through this initially, though, took a lot of work because... especially because that really annoying mining fatigue spell or debuff that they put on you that basically makes everything take a ridiculous amount of time to mine through and all that. Ugh. Stupid large guardians. Irritating little things. I'm half tempted just to completely go through and harvest this entire thing. That would be a lot of cool building materials. That thorns enchantment is ridiculous. I think I need to get my bow back. Yeah, what I plan to do is, ideally, it'd probably be better just to... Whoa, that's a lot of them. Yeah, I still need to get in there. As I understand it, there's like a huge amount of gold in that thing, but a lot still has to be cleared out. But you've all probably seen ocean monuments before. Heard of having to work for my food, but work for my building materials? Come to think of it, this may be why I was so dedicated to that chicken farm. Wait, why am I... not using an axe? And why am I not triggering the crit? Though they probably move around too much to trigger that auto crit. Come on, see if I can get it. I missed. Quit moving around, you jerk. I want to crit you. Oh well. So much for that. But yeah, I guess I should probably end there before I get myself killed with all these stinking... Now, how do I get myself out of here? But yeah, it essentially serves as a farming spot for these, which is why I may keep some water in there, because ideally the enemies are set to spawn in that water, and then you just have a doorway that's open, so eventually they flow in there. I'd also like to eventually completely drain one out just to see what one looked like exposed to sunlight, though I think some people have already did that, but doing that in creative, or survival rather, would be a fun challenge. But I digress, that's enough for one video. But that's essentially what I've got so far, and where a lot of my life is gone. Boy. Oh well, in any case, thanks for watching, and have a great day.